Welcome to Alpacamade. I'm so glad you stopped by. It's Thursday, August 27th, 2020, and I'm wondering which one of my subs knows the artist, album, and release date for the song I really wanted to use for this little saunter. It's not really a road trip. It's not really a hike. It was a stroll. That's what it was. We took a stroll out on a conservancy trail. And so, do you know where the title for this episode comes from? In my last episode, which I'll link, somewhere in the cards or in the show notes, I talked a lot about being prepared for what might be coming ahead, looking down the road and asking yourself, if things remain the same, if nothing changes, can I meet the challenges that would come from or that are resulting from these conditions? And so that, I kind of blew it when I went on this hike. I remembered long socks because of ticks, but I didn't remember bug spray or a first aid kit or some other things that maybe I should have. I guess I need to be a little more mindful about my own world and a little less mindful about the world outside my control. So, moving along, we found that we were having a terrible time getting the cameras to focus. My shooting partner was using a DSLR and I was just using the phone. As you may know or may not know, the battery on my pre-DSLR camera died and I haven't been able to replace it yet. So I was just shooting with the phone and I couldn't see a thing because, the backlight on the screen and so forth. When I loaded up all the pictures to edit and I saw that some were crooked a little bit and many in pre-editing were out of focus, I thought to myself, boy, this is going to be a long week. But as it turns out, all the pictures that I did choose for clarity and interest actually were okay. I didn't have to worry about focus and that kind of thing. So it was a beautiful day. It was a lovely stroll. We went about an hour's worth. So we went probably or a little less than an hour's worth. So probably, I'm going to say 25 minutes out. No, about 20 minutes out and 20 minutes back. So about 45, 50 minutes. To be honest, it was a little warm. It was a little too warm. But if we had waited a week or two to catch a cooler day, we would not have caught the beautiful flowers. And unfortunately, because they're the predominant colors at this time in a silvopasture setting that's untrimmed and unmowed are predominantly white, yellow, and that purpley color of the thistles. We had a hard time focusing the cameras and we could not understand it because both of us were using very different shooting systems. But when I started editing, I realized, oh, it's because there was so much green, there wasn't enough contrast, and the cameras couldn't figure out what to focus on. And that comes from being out of practice. So I need to up my game and do a little more shooting, pay attention to the quality of my content. I have to tell you, I've all but stopped watching quite a few content creators because the quality of their shooting, their attention to light and detail has plummeted in a couple of cases to the point where it doesn't seem like they care about that stuff anymore. But, I can't criticize them. It's their shows, it's their presentations, it's their work. It's up to them to decide what's important. If you weren't with me on Monday, you don't know, but you do now know, we're no longer shooting film for twice a week broadcasts. I need to slow down and I need to go to once a week unless the occasional one-off Monday broadcast is a hot issue or just a quick 3 to 5 minutes. And the reason is I need to slow down. I've had some minor health issues where I've had to really take my own advice and say, slow down, think about what you're doing, fix what you can, including re-injuring an old shoulder injury, a rotator cuff injury from 10, 15 years ago. Totally set me on my heels, and for a couple of days, well, for the better part of a week, I was having trouble functioning, which means I really couldn't film and do soap and stuff like that. So that's why you haven't seen that type of video. The other thing I've been dealing with is coming to terms with the fact that I may be pre-diabetic, and I knew this back in March, early March. What I tried did not work satisfactorily, and so I made a couple of changes that helped, including a version of bulletproof coffee, which I'm still playing with. I'm using black coffee now instead of coffee with creamer or sugar or whatever. Sugar is pretty much gone from my diet. With the exception of honey, I found since I predominantly use maple syrup on pancakes, I have to cut that out as well, because in the more recent, adventure to make some corrections, I had to make a decision about carbs, because carbs affect bloating, and when you rack up a couple of decades, bloating can be an issue. If you're eating a lot of high carb or a lot of processed food, that becomes a problem. So I have run across what I think is a helpful product other than my version of bulletproof coffee, and when I find a version of that works for me, I will present. I'm hoping to do that by Thursday, but I have to do a little testing on myself first to be able to bring you good information. So we're coming to the close of our little stroll out in the silvo pasture, and I wanted to remind you as we return to the desk, our next show will not be until Thursday, September 3rd, and also that if you are looking for our social media, our website and all that, you can go to alpacamade.com. Under the home button, you'll find our YouTube link, our Instagram, our Twitter, and we hope that you will visit us over there. Until we see you again, thanks for stopping by. It's always appreciated, as are your comments, your likes, and your shares. If you're not subscribed, hey, what's holding you up? See you soon.